DIYs for your fairy garden. So whether you just have a planting pot of some sort, whatever size, or want to do something leaning up against a tree, maybe even have a full bed of vegetables or flower that you want to add some sort of fairy garden element to, I'm going to show you 3 different projects. For the bridge, it's just about deciding on what shape it's going to be and then building the base pieces before adding on what will be the walkway, if you will. I used 2 sets of 3 pieces to make this shape, trying to make them both even on either side before sort of using an object to hold it up, and then started adding the pieces, connecting the 2 across. I went all the way down the row and I had this nice bridge shape, but I wanted some sort of railing, so I snapped a few more sticks and used those as stakes along the sides at 4 different points to then grab a bit of twine and glue that across. You can use paint, moss, greens, anything you'd like to add to that in any way, and I think it turned out so cute. For the swing, I did start out with this really thin wooden board, but you could totally use cardboard or any other thin object. You could even just make the stakes really long and just stick it right into the ground instead of it having a base. Whatever way though, figure out what will be holding up your main swing by itself or on top of your base, and have a connector piece to glue the 2 together. The swing just consists of twine, and instead of a stick, I did a bit of bark for the seat, and once again, you can add any decorations if you wish. For the door, this was a super simple process. I just grabbed some cardboard, sort of figured out what odd shape I wanted the door to be, grabbed some sticks, tried to shape it around that, glue it down, painting over the hot glue and adding a bit of greenery, it is done. Orange and raspberry cupcakes. Once I had grabbed my mixer, I used these ingredients: 1 1/3 cup of flour, 1 cup sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 teaspoon baking powder, 1/2 cup of milk, 1/2 cup of oil, 1 teaspoon vanilla, and 1 egg. After I had the batter though, I did split it into 2, so depending on if you use the whole amount of batter for one flavor or you split it up like I do, for half of the recipe that was orange, I added a tablespoon of orange zest, and for the raspberries, I added about 1/4 cup of chopped ones. You will of course need to double that though if you use the entire batter for just one of the flavors. Add your batter to your pan and then put that in your oven that's been preheated at 350 degrees for 30 to 40 minutes. It depends on your pan and your oven of course, but around there. While those are baking or cooling afterwards, you can get started on the buttercream. I used the same exact recipe I did in my cottagecore aesthetic video. It's pretty much the only buttercream I make. It's super simple and works every time. So after you have the base, I once again split it into 2, and for the orange, I added 3 tablespoons of orange juice and a few teaspoons of zest, and then in the other, I cooked down some raspberries on medium until they had reduced a bit, strained them, and added that liquid. Depending on how strong you want the flavor to be, you can decide how much to add. You can add food coloring to this, edible pearls, glitter, sprinkles, whatever you like. I tried to make a rose and do some designs, but decorate them to your heart's content, and I think they turned out really great. Fairycore slippers. You'll need some paper, scissors, a pencil, and eventually fabric. To make your pattern, you can use your foot or a shoe and mark out the general shape. Depending on your fabric will matter how accurate your pattern needs to be, but you'll need a general base shape for the bottom of your foot, and then one that will basically be going around the sides. It's hard to give direct instructions on this because depending on how high you want the sides to be, what shape you want the toe to be, it just really varies on the way you mark it out. I honestly made multiple patterns and used scrap fabric to do multiple mock-ups, sewing the thing, seeing how I liked how it fit, etc., etc. So definitely play around with it a bit, but you'll have the base piece and then a piece with a triangle cut out of the middle for a dart just to wrap around the curve of the foot a bit easier, and pieces coming straight down the back that you'll sew and connect around the back later. Once you do have your pattern pieces, lay out your fabric. Mine was an old dress, so I already had my fabric doubled up. Therefore, I only had to cut each piece once, and both were identical. After pinning and cutting around it, I'm removing those pins and separating the pieces. This is the step where you can also just cut out multiple of the base piece and make the slipper a lot thicker. Next though, just sew that dart at the top of the foot and then place the 2 or sewn together base pieces with the wraparound piece, good side to good side, sew all the way around that, stopping a bit to connect the back, flip that right side out and hem the edge. But once that's hemmed and the base is done, my personal favorite part are these straps. You don't have to add straps. This could totally just be alone. It could just be a normal slipper, but I really love the very ballet fairy element. For the first one, I sewed either one very near the back and it was mostly just going around my ankle. The second one, I did them more towards the front so that they crossed over the top of my foot. With all those pieces done, add embroidery, beads, a pom-pom, whatever you'd like, and it's finished. Now to talk about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. If you don't know, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of courses across their platform for beginner to advanced learners on so many topics. Skillshare has been such a great supporter of this channel, and I just really appreciate what they're doing for the world of creatives in general. Whatever you're interested in, I am sure they have something for you, and along the way, you could totally find a new and unexpected favorite interest or hobby. Skillshare is so kindly offering the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description a month of free Skillshare. That means that if you even just take one class a day, you could, for free, have 30 new skills under your belt. Whether you choose a variety and learn a ton of new stuff, or pick a singular one to really hone in on and improve. This is such a great opportunity. I cannot recommend you enough to go use the link in the description. In just a few clicks, you can be on Skillshare, browsing, adding classes to your watch list, and learning something new. Thank you so much, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video.